Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I am back in England, as you may recognise the decor. Just got back from Tirana in Albania and I had a fantastic time. Brilliant city, loved it. Last day that I was there was fantastic because they've got all these bunkers, these left over from the Cold War, built into the mountains, and one of them had been converted into a sort of history museum, sort of Second World War to the present day through the Cold War era as well. So then I had a look at that. It's fantastic because you're down in the bunker looking at all these exhibits. Brilliant. And then I took a cable car up to the mountains, into the mountains, and some of the scenery is just unbelievable. Incredible. Anyway, enough about that. Sorry about that. You got to indulge me a little bit here. Right. But yeah, back to the grindstone. Anyway, while I was off, I obviously didn't get a lot of time to do any sort of prediction videos for this week's boxing, but then there is a lot of boxing on. It's a bit late for me to do a prediction video or videos for, the Garcia, Haney and Teo fights, but I'll watch them and I'll do some reviews. But there is a heavyweight fight I want to talk about that's on tomorrow, because I smell an upset, a big upset. Well, see, to me, I don't think it is a big upset, but the way people are talking and looking at the odds, everyone seems to think that this would be a big upset. And I'm talking about Efe Ajagba possibly beating Martin Bakole. Now, I have no idea why Martin Bakole is such a strong favourite. I really don't know. Because when you think about it, if you look at Bakole's career, I mean, we all know about the second round knockout to Parker, and that was only in February, arse end of February, maybe, was it, that big card? Brilliant card, and we know that Bakole came over. He weighed 315 pounds. He was, he had to borrow a pair of gloves off Daniel Dubois. He was jet lagged. He took the fight with about 36 hours notice. Pictures of him on the plane. He could not have been more ill-prepared for that fight. But rather disturbingly, Billy Nelson was saying, well, was it him or was it Bakole admitted that he hadn't been doing a lot of sparring? Even though the Ajagba fight was already scheduled by that point, he took the money. And he was saying, I haven't done a lot of... a lot of sparring, a lot of preparing. Well, you're telling me, mate, you weigh 315 pounds. You're not even looking after yourself. And I know he's a big lad and some people put on a lot of weight and sometimes light ain't right. But to weigh that amount, even if you are between fights, I mean, what was the first 3 weeks of his camp for Ajagba going to be? A fat camp? Lose 40 pounds or whatever? Previously, he'd come in at, in the 290s when he fought Carlos Takam. But you add that to the fact that he was knocked out. Look, I mean, we can't get away from this. Okay, he wasn't outboxed. He wasn't beaten up badly. It was a clip to the top of the head that discombobulated him, put him over. And, Joseph Parker's a good heavyweight, no doubt about it. But the manner in which I expected him to sort of be huffing and puffing after a couple of rounds and then maybe get stopped on his feet in about 6, 7, 8, that sort of thing. But not to go out for one punch early on. And Parker's got a bit more timber on him, and it can add, marginally to your power. And Parker is a much more motivated, much more focused, and probably a more relaxed in a good sense. I mean, in the past, when he was with Kevin Barry, he was too relaxed to the point where he was almost laissez-faire. Whatever will be, will be. Now he's relaxed in the sense that he's focused. He knows what he's got to do, but even though the relaxation element adds to some sharpness, he's not tense. And so, maybe his power that was always there has come to the fore again. But to knock out Bakole in with just one punch, I didn't like what I saw there at all. Now, if you if you look at Ajagba, I think a lot of people are saying Bakole is the red hot favourite because he scored that very good win over Jared Anderson, and Ajagba's been beaten by, not Jared Anderson, excuse me. Yeah, it was Jared Anderson, wasn't it? Yeah, of course it was. And Ajagba's been beaten by Frank Sanchez. And what's he done since then? He lost to Frank Sanchez in 2021. Has he done much, Ajagba, since then? Well, not really. I mean, he won a unanimous decision over Stephen Shaw when he was undefeated in 18. And Shaw then, I think, lost his next fight by knockout. He's beaten people like Kotlabuski, which was a 4-round disqualification because Kotlabuski was getting the crap beaten out of him and bottled it. And then in his last fight, he actually squeaked past Guido Vianello on a split decision, which was, I think Vianello's pretty decent, but he has just lost a unanimous decision to Richard Torres Jr., and I thought he might upset Torres Jr. So Vianello's sort of a gatekeeper type. You would expect someone like Ajagba to be, winning most of the rounds, maybe even stopping Vianello. Vianello's crafty. So he's not looked impressive. And yes, he's kind of robotic, a bit cumbersome, perhaps. He's got athleticism, but it's not really a boxer's athleticism. There's nothing sort of... He doesn't sort of seem in any way... What's the word I'm looking for? Nothing... I was talking about Parker when everything's flowing in a relaxed manner. With Ajagba, nothing really seems to flow. It's all a bit... Almost looks rehearsed rather than trained to the point of being second nature. It almost looks a bit trying to be too textbooky, but we can't deny the fact that he does hit hard. He does hit very hard, in fact, and he has got a couple of decent highlight reel knockouts, and he can do the 10 rounds. I mean, he did the 10 rounds. He won a unanimous decision over Jonathan Rice back in 2020. That's not a bad little 10 round for that particular point of his career. That's not a bad 10 rounds. And he went the 10 with Shaw, and he went, whatever you say about the Guido Vianello performance, he did go the 10. I thought it was a poor performance, but he went 10. And he hits hard. And he's big and he's powerful. We're talking about a 6'6" Nigerian fella here, big lump. And Bakole, of course, Bakole's from Democratic Republic of Congo. He's another one. He's 6'6". I mean, this is a collision of two big African lads, big fellas. Although Bakole, of course, most of the time resides in Airdrie because of Billy Nelson's influence. And I don't know. I just get the feeling that these two are going to meet in the middle. I don't think Bakole likes when he's fighting fit. I don't think he's ever particularly fit in terms of being slim, and he's never going to be body beautiful, is he? But when he's fighting fit, his actual output is quite good. It's quite high. And we saw that against Anderson and against Takam. I know Takam's seen better days. Whereas if you look at Ajagba, he sort of thinks through things, tries to seem to think through things too much. Okay, I've got to get my jab going now, and now I'll bring the right hand over, and I'm doing this. It's all a bit robotic. But with Bakole, when he is on it, mentally, physically focused, he can let the punches go. I know he ran out of gas against Michael Hunter and almost quit in that fight, but he did have a bad shoulder in that fight, so maybe we can give him a pass on that when it was early on in his career as well. But here's the thing. I asked myself, is Ajagba capable of soaking up Bakole's pressure early for the first 3 rounds? And I think the answer is yes. And I think for 3 rounds, Bakole might look like he's going to win every round, or maybe even hurt, maybe even floor, possibly stop Ajagba. But I don't think Ajagba will wilt. I think what's going to happen is that Bakole's going to get tired. And he is one of those guys, the weight's an issue. I know he's a big guy. But if he came in at, 285 instead of 295, 305, 315. If he came in big, but, you know, not obese big, then I ain't got a problem. But I'm not convinced he's at 3. I mean, this fight with Parker, 315 back in April. I know heavyweights, you know, you can, if you do a good sparring session, you can lose half a stone easy, maybe even a stone. You know, it flies off you, especially if you're young. But I don't get it. I worry about that. And I think that during this fight, even though Bakole might win the early rounds, say the first 2 or 3, I think Ajagba's going to soak it up. And I think he's going to start to let his hands go as his confidence grows. And I think he's going to hurt Bakole. And my prediction for this fight is that Efe Ajagba will knock out Martin Bakole in about 6 rounds. 5-6 rounds, I'd say. Middle rounds, you know what I mean? 5, 6, 7. If you're doing if you're choosing the 3 rounds, I'd go for 5, 6, 7 on the betting, and I'll be having a few quid on this one. I think the knockout itself was a bad thing for Bakole. He's never good getting knocked out, regardless of the circumstances. And I just don't like, from a fitness point of view, I don't know what I'm seeing in Bakole at all. You know, wasn't he wearing sweatsuits and heated blankets and everything to try and lose some weight? Then pictures of him, you better watch it or the board will jump all over him like they've done over Chris Eubank Jr. But no, it's I think this is upset time, if you want to call it an upset. To me, it wouldn't be an upset. I think this is, I can understand why people would pick Bakole to win. Don't get me wrong, Bakole's got some real ability and hits hard and so on and so forth. But I think Ajagba might be getting him at the right time. And I think Bakole, after that whole episode against Parker, that's not going to have done him any good psychologically, even subconsciously from a psychological point of view. And yeah, it's hard, you know, 16 KOs and 21 wins, but nah, I don't like it. I mean, Tony Yoka, we went the distance with Tony Yoka and he won a majority decision over Tony Yoka. Should have been unanimous, but so Sergei Kuzmin, I think back in 2020, Kuzmin beat him. So I think Bakole has been very overrated overall in his career, even though he's got ability. When you're overrated, don't mean to say that you're a bad fighter. It just means you're overrated. You might be a good fighter. He is a good fighter. But no, I think he's there to be taken. I think Ajagba will knock out Bakole, put him on the floor, knock him out in about 6 rounds, I'll say. So that's my opinion. You watch. Bakole will win in 2 now. Let me know what you think. Do you think there's any possibility to what I'm saying being true? Do you? No. I know what's going to happen is if Ajagba wins, people will be putting in the comments, well, that aged well, or some sarcastic thing. But if you run a YouTube channel, you've got to be prepared for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, opinions below. I'll answer them or read them. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Please, if you're new, subscribe to the channel. Pretty pleased with knobs on it. And if you like the video, hit the like button as well. Thanks a lot. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.